Welcome back. Today we're looking at the Kentfaith Square Filter Holder System Pro Kit. That's a mouthful. And I was quite happy when they reached out to me. So this is a collaboration between Kentfaith and myself. No money changed hands, but I do make a commission if you decide to buy from my affiliate link. Another thing as well is that there's going to be a discount code in the description that gives you 10 to 20%. At the time of the recording, it's 20% off. So if you're using my link and you buy from their site, you get a 20% discount. Pretty good. So before they reached out, I already used some of their products like filters. This is a mist filter. And I've also been using their lens adapters. And what's great about the lens adapters is that it allows me to use vintage lenses. And in my case, I have a bunch of M42 lenses. So this little ring here allows me to use all of these old lenses. And it's so fun to use these old lenses. They're hard to focus, full of artifacts, but super fun to use. I have a bunch of them. So here it is. It's a big box. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna unbox this box because that's what you do with boxes. And then I'm gonna spend a few weeks out in the field using it. We're gonna explain why you need these filters. We're gonna look at how they actually behave in real life. And then I'm gonna sit back here and talk you through my experiences. So step one, unboxing. Right off the bat, you can sense the premium feeling of this product. The box itself is made of leather. Now let's dive inside. Here, some genius engineering gets you quick access to all the filters. Everything has its own little compartment. It comes with 4 adapter rings for your lenses, a circular polarizer filter, and then 3 ND filters, ND8, ND64, and ND1000. Magnetic catch for that satisfying closing and opening of the box. The holder itself, and here the adapter rings come in 4 sizes, 82, 77, 72, and 67 millimeters. You can buy additional sizes on the Kentfaith website. The circular polarizer filter, and the square neutral density filters. Filters are made of Japanese AGC tempered glass. They have 36 layers of nanometer coating with 6H hardness level. That makes them dustproof, waterproof, oilproof, and scratch resistant. All right, now we're gonna look at how this is actually used on a lens. So I'm gonna use this Cirui or Cirei, please tell me how to pronounce that, lens that I have. There are different rings, you saw that already from the unboxing, that we can use on our lenses. Now for this macro lens that I have, it's actually too small, so I have to use a few other rings to step that up. But this one has a 67, which basically is this one. So the first thing you do then is like you would normally do with any other ring, and that is to just screw it on to the end of your camera. So it's pretty straightforward, like that. If you're ever in doubt, the manual is pretty good. Make sure you read it so you know what's going on. So when the adapter ring is on, you can connect the main device itself. This is, of course, the device that holds all the filters. You can see on the back here, this little thing here, you can slide it in there. When it's down tight, you just screw the lock. And voila, there you go. We're gonna start off with the circular polarizer filter, which is here. And it's really neat. There's a handle over here that you pull. And when you do pull that, you can see this opens. And notice that there's also a little arm here that kind of catches the filter. It matters what direction you put the filter in. If you just put it in slide it down and you're not able to lock this, it actually gives you a CPL error. So when that happens, you bring it back out, you flip it around. If you're able to close it, you did good. That's the filter. You can also use this little wheel on the side to rotate it around. For the ND filters, the square ones, you push them into a few slots that are on the front. You can probably tell here as well, there are 2 slots here and here we can use. It's a bit tight, so you just have to push it in. And then you can use these to pull them back out. Now, as you can tell from the shape of this, there are 2 handles. You might think, okay, that's handy because then I can pull it out in each direction. And yes, that is handy, but it's on one side as well. So if you need to stack them, you can flip the other one around, put that on top, and slide it in. Now it's easy for you to pull them out individually. And I mean, if you put them on top of each other, it's really hard to get it out anyways. But when you have it like this, you can stack them. We're gonna take this out in the field, we're gonna shoot with it, and we're gonna see how this actually affects our shots. I mean, it's obviously will, because ND filters will make sure that everything goes darker. So I'm gonna disassemble everything and then head out. And of course, the handles are also there so you don't touch the actual filter. Unscrew the lock, and then you can slide this out, unscrew the adapter ring, put your lens in the bag. This pouch is absolutely amazing. You can also add this to your belt, or you can put it straight into your backpack. That's probably what I'm gonna do. It also came with a couple of screws, extra little screws over here. Just gonna keep those in the bag. I'm gonna put this one in the main. Okay, let's put the filters back in, just the way they came. So, filter, you don't need to have this protection on, obviously. I'm just super careful with new stuff. I'm guessing after one session, it's all gonna be off. Yeah, materials, super nice. There we go. The circular polarizer goes here. See you outside.
That failed kind of hard.
There is this one picture I wanted to capture for a very long time. I've tried it before. I shot it analog. Couldn't get it to work. This time I'm gonna try to do the same shots with digital equipment. I hope it turns out as good as it does in my head. But I need people. Lots and lots of people. And a little bit of luck. Because one of them needs to be completely still.
So yeah, that failed kind of hard. Apparently you're not allowed to film or take stills on the subway. So I do think I have a few shots that work well. It kind of proves what I'm going for. But we're gonna just have a look at those. I think I would need probably an hour or two more during rush hour to get the shot I was actually after. But I did get a few shots that I think are okay. We're gonna have a look at that, and maybe we'll get back to this another time. So, I did not get the picture I wanted. That's established. But I wanted to have a look at the ones that I did get and why those tell us that it's possible to get the image or the photo that I wanted to do. We're going to talk a bit about a slow shutter and how that can create effects on your photos. So for this first one, let's just call it Espresso Man, because you can see how this one guy is like all over the place, while these other people are standing completely still. And I guess we can thank cell phones for that, because you're just looking at their cell phones while this other guy is doing all sorts of things. Here you can also see how the subway is basically just streaks. Now, if you remember my initial sketch, I had a subway like this, and I wanted to capture all the people during rush hour where everyone was like super stressed, and one person, again with that cell phone, would probably be sitting still inside of the subway. So that's what I was actually going for. So that's why I have printed a few of these photos, and this is kind of the ghosted people thing I was going for. So that combined with something like this, technically I guess the subway would be standing still. So this angle you recognize from the sketch. This is all the people. And then I did a close-up of this one as well, because here you can see this person sitting still. So you can see all of these things that would lead up to the sketch I had. It's doable, it's really doable, but I just didn't get time because I was thrown out by security. And then I just put this in for good measure as well, because I think it was cool. Got a lot of the elements of the subway station. And yeah, and the reason I'm so caught up with this like slow shutter thing, it's nothing groundbreaking or new, but I've always tried to capture the same moment with analog photography, and I kind of feel that it would be easier now with digital equipment. And I have this K&F concept kit here, where you get both the circular polarizer filter, which you would need to be able to get this non-reflective, like the person inside without the reflection of the people outside. This is a circular polarizer filter. And then on top of that, you have all these ND filters that you can stack on top of each other. So you can pretty much just own the shutter or the exposure of the image. So that's why I wanted to get into this. You can see here that I didn't get the picture I wanted, but I did get to test out this kit. And this is the kit I want to talk about today, because I think this kit would make this doable, because it has these two things, the polarizer filter and the ND filters in one go, which is super handy. I have worked on it for film as well. And for film, I think it's better to go with a variable ND filter, because you need to control the shutter based on your frames per second. And that is all about the 180-degree rule. Some people say that the 180-degree rule is just some old garbage that you don't really need to care about. Other people follow it religiously. But if you do want to do that, and you want to shoot 1/50th of a second, if you're shooting like 25 FPS, you need a way to control the light. And a variable ND filter will really help you do that. It's super simple.
All right, we're bringing the markers forward. You know what that means. It's learning time. So we have to talk about exposure. 3 factors make up how an image is exposed. Let's start with aperture. Now, the aperture on your lens decides how much light you get into your camera sensor. The value of the aperture on consumer lenses is defined by its f-stop value. A low value means, I don't know how this happened, but as your keen eye can already figure out, I flipped the f-stop values. f1.4 would be wide open and lots of light would shine through, while f22 is a tiny hole. So for the rest of this whiteboard session, please trick your brain into flipping these two numbers. Because as you can see, the fancy graph here means that the wider the aperture, the more light you let in. Now we'll check out shutter speed. As with aperture, a fast shutter will not let much light in, Imagine opening a door quickly versus slowly. If you open the door for a fraction of a second, you won't let much light through. But if you leave the door open for a while, lots of light will pass through. In our example here, the range goes from 1/8,000th of a second to 8 seconds. And once again, the longer the shutter stays open, the brighter the image will be. The final factor we will look at is ISO. ISO controls the sensitivity of the sensor. Sometimes the ISO icon is just a circle with the letters in them. A low number means it's not sensitive and the image will not capture lots of light. A high number means it is sensitive and will therefore be brighter. In our example here, the ISO goes from 100 to 6400. On your camera, it might be something else. Here you can see how it goes darker and brighter based on these ISO values. On older cameras, you might see ASA numbers. This is basically the analog version of ISO. Although technically the sensitivity will be on the film you put into the camera. These three factors work together. You've probably heard about the exposure triangle before. When you adjust one of these factors, you can adjust one or two of the others to compensate for your initial adjustment. If you need a wide aperture to get more shallow depth of field, you might need to slow down your shutter to not overexpose your image. If you need this to be a handheld shot, you simply can't have a slow shutter, it will be all streaks. This is why we need filters to help us control these factors.
If you're still watching, thank you. To kind of sum up the experience with the kit, I think quality-wise, it's superb. I can't complain about anything quality-wise. Pouch is good. You can hang it from a tripod as well. I forgot to mention that initially. And then for the filters themselves, again, quality is good, material is good, everything feels good. It's a nice combo as well with the polarizer and the ND filters. It is, although it is quick to stack them and take them in and out, I think, it is targeted towards landscape photographers. I think basically if you have time to fiddle around with your settings, if you're on a shoot film-wise and you're doing like your whole run and gun setup, you'd want a variable ND filter instead. But if you're one of those people who shoot landscapes or shoot portraits and you you're not in a rush, so you have time to kind of noodle around with this, I think it's pretty good. And if you do want to control your aperture, if you want a wider aperture to let more light in, you need stuff like this. And I think the stacking is kind of cool as well, because you can get really dark really fast. And I do hope that I can get my hands on more K&F equipment so I can have a look at. I know that they have more filters that are in the square format. You have like gradient filters and other filters as well, and they do have variable ND filters as well, and a lot of other stuff, like they have the adapters that I talked about earlier. So yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed if you pick this kit up. So if you do give it a go, let me know in the comments what you feel about it. See you for the next video. Bye.